Flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, National Merit Scholar Presentation, Sam Hunger.
All right, Sam, if you'll kind of come up.
You're coming too, Mom, Dad. Come up here.
I'm not dressed for this.
Hey, listen, I haven't left, so I'm still here. Listen, we wanted to recognize Sam and his, academic success he's had at Bethany Public Schools. It starts from pre-K all the way up to high school, and Sam had to take a PSAT score, a PSAT, to get into this national merit. He was up for semifinals, didn't make it to the semifinal round, but got the National Commended Student, which is a huge deal. Out of the, I want to say, 20 million high school students, somewhere around there, only 34,000 kids get National Merit Commended Scholar. So we're super thankful for Sam and his family, because it takes a village here. It's not just me or just Sam, but Mom and Dad and everybody else that's been a part of his education growing up. So I want to say congratulations to him on his award. It's awesome.
Yeah. Congratulations.
You guys can stay.
Item 4, presentation, discussion of facilities improvement plans by Troy D. Rhodes and Company.
So we got a new screen.
Nice.
Maybe you can see it a little better today. Watch record up there. So if you can't see it, let me know and we can rotate it, but I think they try to position it so it can be seen by as many people as possible. So I'm gonna, you got it right there?
Yeah.
You can swing this way.
So I'm gonna be the clicker, Brian's gonna be the talker, so we'll see if we can coordinate this correctly. So here to just give you an update, and then we'll kind of show you some of the next steps coming at the end.
So this slide you saw last time, and this is really just to remind you what is there. We've got the existing building, a single room classroom, along with the parking lot that you can change. And so you saw most of this last time. And what's changed is we've added the furniture, and so this data is all similar, but the student capacity, we're at aviation, 24 stations, esports, 24 stations. So aviation, esports, and then the simulators are down here with 4, and then at alternative education, we've got 15 students. And so this is the 3D that you have not seen yet, and so the existing facility is here. All this is new. You can go to the next.
So we'll kind of spin around the building here a little bit so we can see it from different vantage points.
So fairly symmetrical design. We've got a screen in the middle that kind of follows the curve. And then this view kind of shows how it opens up more on this side, and so we've got a roof element that kind of screens, which in the next slide you'll see the need for screening mechanical equipment. So mechanical equipment kind of is there, and then we'll have some on top of that.
We did not have to do that in the original edition of the original building because your view is always blocked by the early childhood center.
Right.
You never see that from that side of the street from the south. This one you'll see from the north, so we had to add a little bit of extra roofing on that edge there.
And then we do have a dumpster enclosure on this side as well. And I think the last one takes it back to the.
Yep.
Looks great.
So that's kind of where we're at with with STEM building, or let's see, we're calling it the Bethany Technology Center now. You guys didn't notice that.
Yeah.
It's got a name now, because it is more than just STEM. So, and now we're going to jump to the athletic complex.
Yeah, and so this you've seen before. For the most part, it's just been refined and expanded. The preceding slides will have floor plans of the different elements in this corner. It'll locate where we're talking about. So let's go together.
Okay.
So like here we're at the football locker room, and so for the most part this space is laid out as is. The entire space will get, or all spaces will get renovated. So new locker rooms. The film room is currently filled with locker rooms because they couldn't all fit here. So we're able to fit all 75 locker rooms that are needed now. And then what's proposed is a little bit of a tiered seating so they can do film in this room with a screen up front. Previously, the equipment room is kind of currently a catch-all. There's coaches' offices, there's a washer machine, dryer, equipment storage. It's kind of everything is put into that room. And so right now, we're putting that room as dedicated equipment room, and the coach's office is currently from about that door to this exterior wall is the current coach's office. And so what we're proposing is a new addition that comes out. This is able to fit all 10 coaches that Coach Arthur is after, and then everything else just kind of gets renovated. So the boys' restroom, he said, it works great, it just needs renovated. So most of the spaces just receive renovation. Then track and field, the girls' track is no work is proposed because it's the newest, it's in pretty good condition. The boys' tracker, all this is new construction. And so the offices are offices are upsheet of the boys' locker room, and then this space will be men's and women's restrooms for the entire campus.
For the entire complex?
Like public.
Like fans.
Public,
Fans.
yeah.
New public
Yeah.
For the
restroom.
fans, along with a family restroom.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
So you
Yeah.
can, you can kind of see the,
Awesome.
Yeah, so
like
good.
if it was on the site plan, you can see the.
Are those bleachers?
Those are the bleachers on the
Okay.
far right
Oh,
side, right there,
okay,
just the edge of the
right.
bleachers. We'll see some three-dimensional views that'll hopefully make a little bit of sense, but that's where your public restrooms are in the future building. And that, like Brian was saying, that is completely new construction. I guess it'd be to the east of the existing building that's there.
Right. And then this is baseball, so located down here. It says currently the baseball locker room is here, coaches are here, and so what's being proposed is we would add a new addition with new locker rooms, 40 lockers, a corridor to get to the indoor facility with the restrooms. The current locker rooms become the coach's office. The restrooms that are currently for the boys are now dedicated for the coaches, and then the current coach's office becomes storage.
So it's partial renovation, partial new on that one.
On the softball side, this is all new construction. And so we're located off the softball field, and so we've got, and you can kind of see the softball field here.
oh.
So we've got concessions, which is similarly located, but we've got concessions here with a breezeway, and so this is two-story, first story, second story, concessions, locker room with stairs up, which you can see here, to the press box and the coach's office. And then this seats 4 coaches. And then we've got 2 restrooms to provide for men's and women's, or if the coaching staff is all male or all female, then it could be just 2 restrooms. Like you was. And so soccer, now we're back up in this area. This is all existing, and so this would all be renovated. We've got coach's office centrally located with access to the boys' locker room down here, and then access to the girls' locker room here, along with a flex locker room. And then the current public restrooms are here, and so we would reconfigure and then provide access, which the doors could then be locked, and so you could essentially make a boys' locker room or a girls' locker room just by locking a door.
We've got a couple of those flex spaces. Here's another
Yeah,
one.
and then this one's an existing flex space. This would be dedicated to softball in the fall and baseball in the spring. And the main thing is redoing the locker units, and then the restrooms are, we're gonna add a floor drain and I think that's it.
Yeah, I think this is the existing softball locker, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So this is the existing softball that's gonna be renovated because of building the new softball. So we're not gonna be able to do all of this all at the same time, more than likely, and so we'll talk about it in a minute, but there's gonna be some sequencing that's gonna have to happen. So obviously we can't boot the softball girls out of here until that other, so those kind of sequencing dominoes are gonna have to be thought about as part of the planning, but keep going on this for a minute.
So this is the existing view. This is really just to remind you what this looks like, and it's kind of sets up, if you'll recall last time we're presenting proposing a screen wall to unify everything and to create kind of a landmark design that you'll really know when you arrive at Bronco campus. And so here's the 3D of and this is from 50th Street. We put a truck in to illustrate that we basically wanted the branding to be above, such that when you had a full parking lot, you would be able to read Bethany Broncos. And so you can kind of see the building beyond, and so it's just enough to cover the building, but also high enough to get the text above everything.
So we had some of those images last time that were kind of the red screens, if y'all remember, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
So now this is implementing this with the Bethany purple. We've got a couple of views of these as well.
So then that shows the entry, and so the next couple of views are gonna zoom in and show the courtyard behind. This is the press box behind, and then ticket office here, along with 2 gates to get in. These gates are to get out, and next couple slides will show how that kind of all works. So right now, these gates are open, gate windows on each side. You can kind of see the courtyard.
Concessions on the backside over there.
Okay.
And concessions,
Mhm.
press box above, concessions below.
And this shows the gates coming through, and then pay attention here and here, because then the next slide is gonna reverse, and so when you're coming out, you could also open these. We just wanted to show that those do close. You could keep them open and have 4 points of exit, but an additional exits on the end of the fence road. And then proceeding down further, 50th Street. And that's what it would look like from SNU's campus, from their stadium. And then on the west parking lot, proposing a little more dressed up gate. And then the next slide shows if the fences are closed. And then the overall view, So we've got visitor bleachers on this side, which is the current home bleachers that have been relocated to the opposite side. And then we have expanded bleachers here, which is currently just double what is currently there, with the press box on the 50-yard line, and then the courtyard in the middle, and then a new track that's been relocated, and then the turf for the football and soccer.
I think we talked about it last time, but we've got pole vault and long jump all kind of within the same area now. And I think the next slide kind of shows,
Pole vault.
right, coming around over on the other end. There's several areas for tent locations you can kind of see in the upper slides up there, either for a home football game or for a track event.
And then this kind of just shows what set this line is really more this building. And so if all that stays in line, then that sets where this wall goes. And then that created the opportunity for this football expansion for the offices to get the 10 desks in there.
So those areas behind the screen almost become mechanical courtyards is really what
Yeah.
they become.
Yeah.
They screen the ductwork and the equipment. You get access for maintenance, but you don't, you see them, but they're behind that screen. So it's not the dominant feature.
And then softball would receive a turf field. And then next slide will zoom in on it, but this is the softball, the new construction of, so you've got the concession window here, a breezeway to get to the visitor side here. This is the door to get to the stairs that take you up to the coach's office or the press box, and then the door to get to the girls' locker room. And then baseball receives a infield turf. And then currently, baseball does not have the canopy and is about half that size. So that's all the 3D, and then this is a project list. Dr. Bellows asked us to start identifying the projects that could then be assigned a cost, and so that's going to be a next step, is to start exploring cost on this, and then these are just projects that, in theory, although we would have to explore how, I mean, you mentioned some of the sequencing that will be involved, but in theory, you could pick which ones you want and then build those in a certain phase. So,
I'll expand on that a little bit, if that's okay. Just,
yeah.
you know, with throughout this whole thing, knowing that we're gonna have to have a plan. You know, it's not gonna be, hey, let's get all this done, right? I mean, when we get the cost, we know it's going to be a cost that's going to be above our bonding capacity, our means. So throughout the whole project, we've asked that it be modular, and so this is part of that, making it modular. Now, what we'll have to do is go back and say, okay, where do we prioritize these things, in what order? But then also we'll have costs associated that will help us prioritize them, but then also will allow us to say, what can we start on that isn't reliant on another thing? And we can start to put together a plan over, again, maybe 3, 5, 7 years to try to work towards it. Hopefully sooner, the better, but that's something we'll have to think about and try to be strategic with. But this is kind of the modular idea of what could we do that's not reliant on something else at the same time.
And I think the next slide is just kind of what's next. And we've met several times with the coaches and with Dr. Bellows and staff to talk about needs. Ryan's been in lots of email communication, right, Adam, with trying to gather information about what they need to make sure it meets the criteria. We met with them last week to kind of review a lot of this information so that they could see it and give us feedback, and we took some of that feedback and even made changes for tonight. But really the next couple of steps are to take the three-dimensional images you saw in here and create more of a photorealistic image. Since this is probably beyond the bonding capacity of the school, like Dr. Bellows mentioned, it may end up being more fundraising. So those nice, crisp, photorealistic images can help with fundraising. So the idea is to create some nice views of these projects, and then also begin to work toward cost estimates based on that previous slide where we're kind of targeting the different pieces of the athletic campus. We'll also be looking at the cost for the STEM building as well. I think that's it for us this evening. You guys have any questions of us?
Please feel free to ask too, if you guys have thoughts or wanna see something again.
I had a question, and
Yeah.
I don't think I need to see anything again. So when an opposing team comes, do they use one of our locker rooms?
So it depends on the sport, and I may refer to Mr. Nyberg a little bit on this, but I think it depends
they
on the
just
sport.
out
So
in the-
like baseball, softball, typically they don't, they just show up with their gear, go in the dugout.
Okay.
Football, I even think like JV, middle school, like they just come on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually varsity.
And this is like
Yeah, we had some just in
for the
case
most part.
slides, so we've got,
Mm-hmm.
we've studied the locker room usage, and we
Mhm.
kind of showed this last time, except it was way over there. but-
Right.
And we've reviewed this with the staff, and it's a lot of information, but it actually works really well to kind of make sure that all the locker rooms are accounted for in all the different sports. Brian, I don't know if you've got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to give a few examples, football,
You read that,
visiting
okay.
team, varsity, JV, and freshmen, they would use the soccer boys locker room. And then this column shows areas where no locker room is provided intentionally.
Okay.
And so, for example, visiting middle school visiting middle school team intentionally, because it was reported back to us that they don't need it, so.
Yeah.
And it shows SNU visiting team uses our
Yeah.
middle school,
Yeah.
I
or sorry,
knew that.
our
I
soccer
remember that
room.
from the tour, and I thought, oh,
Yeah. Athletic director tells us as, I want to be careful with that, as that room is not real great, I'll put it that way. As mediocre as that room is, it's actually better than some of the other visitor locker rooms that they
That
get to
they've
go
been-
to
yeah.
in the GAC,
Right.
believe it or not. And so it's an upgrade in some cases, but
Right.
it's not what it needs to be
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
discussions. And so we're trying to upgrade that for you guys, but also for use for.
yeah. And that was the flex. That where that is now, that was what you had for the flex, right? Which would be on that east side of that end building.
We're talking, let me go back just a couple then. Well, let's get back to the floor plan stuff.
Yeah, that first, not
Yeah,
that,
that's
not
the
that
second
one.
No, it's not that one, it's
Yeah,
that.
it's this one right here, right? In this our second-
Yeah, see
first
that, the
yeah.
one that's up on top there, that,
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
No, that's,
Yeah.
I think what the.
they use our
SNU
high school locker
yeah,
room, don't they?
The SNU
Oh,
visitors
we
teams
use-
use this
okay.
space, if I'm not mistaken.
I see. Then it
They,
makes sense.
no, they use the
No.
football space, don't they?
I don't think so.
No, they use
They
the
use
middle.
the
They
soccer.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
this building.
I didn't realize that.
And this is the room, well, really, both of these rooms, but this building in particular, it's pretty rough.
Yeah,
And
that's
so-
the oldest
Is that a good way to
building
say it?
out there.
Yeah, we've taken tours,
Yeah.
It's not
So,
a
yeah, I
space.
think the intent is to upgrade it for you, and then obviously that rolls over to them. So.
Mhm, sure.
I had a question about the softball facility. It looks like there's still a storage container there.
Yeah, that was one of those that we actually, I don't know if it's gonna show up.
It does, it's big.
Yeah, that's one of those that, let's go back, sorry.
What do we keep in that?
Yeah, that's, if I'm not mistaken, Brian, that's one of those that probably could have been taken away out of the rendering. Is it gonna show up?
Yeah.
It does on the-
On the,
On the
color.
It's on the
3D
girls
ones,
softball.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Girls softball,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what showed up.
On the 3D.
But that's a good point. I think that was one of the coaches' comments.
They commented on that.
They commented that that can be taken away.
Okay, good, good. I was
I know.
just
We
concerned
just-
if we're
There's
building,
like
it'd
a
be nice to have.
This one.
This one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna go
There's
away.
some other.
Those
Yeah,
two
okay.
up there probably stay. I think they hold track gear and stuff.
And I think there's also been some discussion about making sure there's some communication at some point about access to the cell phone towers that are down here. They use this pathway to get to that, but I think maybe somebody, I started to point to you, but one of the coaches in the meetings, you're not a coach, sorry. They talked about potentially using, I remember who it was. It was, I don't remember his name, but I remember his sport. Anyway, he said that they might be able to go on the other side of the fence and utilize the other side of the fence for access as opposed to using the school side of the fence. So anyway, that's all I think still needs to be worked out because that's the access agreement. But I would say for sure that that container needs to go away.
Okay,
And I don't think there was any concern or issues with that with the staff.
okay.
I know there's a couple of factors for the sequencing of this. Is there any ideal sequence, or is it all based upon what we would like and the money available?
I mean, from my perspective, it's gonna start with prioritization. That's been one of the very first things that we talked about with this coaching staff is we're gonna create this list, and it's gonna be a comprehensive list, but at some point, we're gonna be forced to make some decisions about prioritization. So I think it starts with that, and then I think we begin to look at it and say, okay, well, that's the priority, but in order to do that, we might have to do this and this first, or make sure we don't do that. I think that's when we start coming in with thinking about construction sequencing. That would be nice, but what about the other factors? And it's a scenario that until you know what it is, you can't really talk specifically about it. But I think for me anyway, that's what we want to know is the prioritization of the staff that's going to use it.
Yeah, and I think all factors are gonna come into that, cost of each project is gonna factor in and just what can fit in a, budget, wherever we're getting those funds from, and then also, you see things like turf, looks great, looks nice, but rough estimates that we've received, maybe not too rough, but it's like $2 million for the turf of the baseball, softball, football. Well, if we're between that and locker room space for kids that we need, or things that impact kids more so than playing on a surface, that does help with like field maintenance, and it looks good, and in some cases may increase injuries. I don't know if that's the case with new, but so I just don't know. I think some of those things would be deciding factors, like we can impact kids more here than over here, or more kids per the cost. But that'll be a lot of conversation with coaches and administrators and Mr. Nyberg, and just trying to figure out, the right order of things too, while also trying to impact the most students as quickly as possible. So,
Like for example, the reorientation, the track is a little cockeyed on the site, just a few degrees off, but the reorientation of that track and the expansion of the track goes hand in hand with the field area. So you can't do the field before you do the track. That would not be very smart. So, but then at the same time, you've also got all the bleacher reconfiguration we're talking about. So, how many, can we do the track and then hold off on the bleachers? Maybe, maybe not. But can you do the track, hold off on the infield? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, but you wouldn't want to do the infield unless the track is done. So that's one of those dominoes.
And the visitor side bleachers do not fit until the track is.
Yeah, I wonder how you fit them over there.
Yeah, it's a tight squeeze.
Looking at it right now, it's.
But we got, one of the ways that we were able to, so initially when we did the track, I can't remember if we talked about this last time or not, but when we initially did the track, we did 48-inch lanes, right? Does that sound right, Brian? And we had 7 of them. And then we talked about that in this environment with this level of athletes, really 3.5 feet, 42 inches is enough. Well, that 40, that's 6 inches times 7 lanes. That basically reduced the track down in 2 sides, really 4 sides, by about this much. And believe it or not, that allowed us. I mean, there were a few areas where the sidewalk comes around on. I don't know if we can get there fast enough, but the sidewalk goes around the track to some of the other buildings. I mean, we were having to go from a 5-foot sidewalk to a 3.5-foot sidewalk to squeeze around the corner of the indoor practice facility. Well, by shrinking the track down to 42-inch lanes instead of 48, doesn't sound like much, but it allows for all of those things to flow without the little interruptions and bumps. That makes sense. Yeah, right in here, like we had in the very first version of this, when we had the larger lanes, this fence line that kind of separates the SNU side and the BPS side, we were encroaching into that fence line. We had to reconfigure the fence. We were butting into this corner
We
down
still
here.
are a little bit,
A little bit.
but we were almost encroaching on this one.
Yeah. So that helped a lot to be able to get it back down to the 42-inch lanes instead of 48.
Would, like renovating the locker rooms and all the renovations of the existing buildings, would you have to do all that before you did like the sheathing on the outside and the courtyard area and the new bleachers?
I think the renovations, that's my opinion, but I think the renovations that are happening within the buildings can probably take place independently of just about anything
I see.
in the order. Obviously, you're gonna have traffic coming, like construction crews coming in and out of there, so there'll be that to deal with. But like, for example, see if I can get over here. This portion of the build, that's new right there. So if we're doing that new construction, we could do the new construction. Would you do the new construction without doing all of this? Maybe, but I mean, to me, it kind of, those kind of things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
To a degree. I don't know, you may have a different opinion about that. Think you could do that without building the?
I think it would increase cost.
Yeah, anytime you're breaking up a project into multiple pieces, you're gonna pay more because of just the overhead of having contractors out on multiple runs. But, the press box and the concession and the bleachers and the fencing that goes around all that, that to me is probably, that's one of those you wanna probably tackle all at once. But I think the indoor renovations, if it's just an interior space of an existing area, that could be done immediately, early, middle, late,
Yeah.
I think. I mean,
Yeah.
at least that's my initial reaction to your question.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other questions for us, Stephen?
Seeing it in 3D really helps bring it to life, even though it's not photorealistic like you were
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
Still,
It
really
helps. It helps us. It helps people who, we're used to seeing plans and stuff all the time, but it helps us think about it as well. So I know it's helpful to people who don't see these kind of drawings all the time. So, and that'll be true with the people who are gonna be making donations, hopefully, or voting on the bond issue.
Well, I'll just say thank you for, the process also, I'll tell the board that, this was a very collaborative process, multiple times calling in coaches, calling in, different people to talk and, get ideas, and there were a lot of things that we already found, and we may find some more along the way, but we found that I don't know if that's gonna work even with, just monitoring kids, and, there were some cases where locker rooms may have been a little bit closed off from offices, and we were able to fix some of those things, and so it was just a great process. And then obviously the renderings are nice and really give you an idea of what you're working towards, and again, certainly have a long way to go to work towards it, but it's nice to see a vision. Then we'll put some money to that, and then we'll start figuring out our best plan of attack and going from there. So, but appreciate just the way you guys have gone about this process to really get feedback, communicate with us, call people in, and really get input from everybody. So thank you for that.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 5, high school dropout report and remediation presentation.
Mr. Jewell.
Yeah, okay. I can follow that. I mean, are you kidding me? That's like that's stuff right there. Anyway, no, I appreciate you guys listening. I know this was kind of hard to look at all the data here from the dropout and the remediation report. The remediation report, the first one, I don't have enough copies, but this was the one that talked about, it had a lot of, it was kind of a weird format. I don't know if you guys saw this on the board report. It was just a weird it's just how the State Department, anyway, long story short, this talks about the number of graduates that we had last year graduate from Bethany High School, and then the number of kids that went to in-state colleges, private or public, in Oklahoma. So we had 122 kids graduate, with 55 of our kiddos going to college right after May, like going right into college. And then we had, that's 45%, and the number I get, people always ask me, it's like, that sounds really low. Well, remember, we have about 30 kids that go out of state. So we have a large number of our population, about 60 to 65% of our kids actually go to college right after school's over. But they only worry about the in-state numbers. That's just what the State Department looks at. You'll see on the bottom of this next sheet on the remediation report, it talks about, it says the 2022 Oklahoma Public High School graduates this fall and the college freshmen in public higher education. What this means is how many kids needed zero-level courses when they went to college? So remediation courses. So if you look at it from a perspective of just straight numbers, we had one student had to take a zero-level English class. 2 students had to take a math remedial class. And what that means to me is, golly, we're doing something right. All the way from pre-K to high school seniors, our education is top notch. When you're saying 3 kids of the 122 had to take a remedial class when they went to college, that's pretty solid. I mean, it's just, you're not going to see that very often. And it's indicative of the next one, which goes from the remediation to the dropout report. And the dropout report, I gave Ms. Tovar and you guys a lot of information to look at. This is straight pulled from the State Department website that we have. The first one is our dropouts. There's 8 kids on this list, and it's really hard to see. And I can't talk about names specifically, but because we're partners with the Children's Center, some of the kids that come to Children's Center will come to Bethany for 2 months. Well, once they come and enroll in Bethany, then they're on our roster. And October 1, when we report, they're on our roster. Even if they leave October 2nd, they're on our roster. And so what that means for us is, I mean, we get, I mean, essentially what happened, like there's 2 kids, for example, out of the 8 that are Children's Center kids that came to Bethany, enrolled, were here for, I don't know, a month, maybe 2. And then they left. One went to Broken Arrow, one went to Florida. When we do this report next, those names will drop off because we have documentation proving that they were dropouts. But I have a positive spin on this. There was one kid that would have been on this dropout report, but our counselors, Mrs. Melton, Mrs. Martineau, are amazing. They got this kid. He transferred in from Kentucky last year, halfway through the year, super credit deficient, like was really a junior, even though he was a senior. We put him into our alternative school program, which is at the STEM building. He got almost all his credits done, and he just didn't have enough to walk. We only let kids walk if they're 1 or half credit short at graduation. They can walk. They have to finish it at summer school. He was a couple credits short. Mrs. Melton worked with them all during the summer, and then even during this year in August, he came back up to school, and before October 1, he graduated. Huge deal. One of the first family members to graduate. Dr. Bellows even came down. We did a little graduation ceremony where Dr. Bellows shook his hand. His whole family showed up. And it's one of those things that's, you don't see, you see the bright lights and shining stars and all the things, but to see this kid's face and his family's face, they went out to the STEM building to see Mr. Stout, to take pictures. They had his cap and gown on. I mean, it was a really cool deal. So you can see this is the 8 kids that are reported. I'm going to tell you that's still really, really good. Overall, on the next couple of sheets I have, and I should have just made copies of this for you guys, but they should be on the board report. This just talks about our overall letter grade from the State Department of Education in Oklahoma. I mean, that's really good. I mean, our dropout rate is really good. Our graduation rate is 96% plus. And this goes on and explains basically the 8 kids, what they were disadvantaged from, if there are any disadvantages, their demographics, their report. I mean, the list goes on and on. I could talk about this stuff all day, but I think the end all of this is we're doing a really good job. Our kids are really good, our teachers are really good, our counselors are great. Can we be better? Of course, but 3 kids for remedial classes, 60+% of our kids go to college, 8 kids on a dropout report, and a lot of, I mean, a fourth of them were from Children's Center that we don't have any control over necessarily. So I'm very proud of them.
That's great.
Very proud of these reports. So.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Any questions for me about it? Thank you. Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Yeah.
you. That's awesome.
Item 6, consent agenda. 6A, approve the minutes of the September 2024 regular board meeting. 6B, discussion possible action to approve the following contracts agreements for fiscal year 25. The Title III consortium agreement. Item 6C, discussion possible action to approve the following out-of-town, out-of-state overnight trips. High school girls basketball, January 9th through the 11th, 2025 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. B, high school swim state, February 21st to the 22nd, 2025 in Jinx. C, Stuco State, November 2nd through the 4th of 24 in Bartlesville. D, Tara Hart Brown, December 8th through 10th, 24, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And E, Kaylee Bernhardt, December 4th through the 7th, 2024, Seattle, Washington. 6D, approve the additions to the following activity fund accounts. 1, baseball, 2, BHS PTO. 6E, the financial funds report.
Okay, on the baseball and BHS PTO, they're just adding some additional fundraisers. For the financial fund reports, the activity fund looks healthy. If you have any specific questions for me about it, I'll be happy to answer those, but everything's going well there. The next is the function summary report, and we have everything that we know about so far encumbered. We're getting all the bills paid, getting that roofing project paid for, so we have a lot expended here at the beginning, but that's all looking pretty good for the year. And our fund 21, the building fund, we have lots of the things that we know about already encumbered, and we've already started paying some of those, so it looks good. And we've made some bond fund and sinking fund payments already at the beginning of the year. When you get to the tracking sheet, we just don't have a lot coming in right now. Really, it's just foundation incentive aid and flexible benefit allowance. We won't start seeing a lot of tax money or federal money probably coming in until the first of the year. But we are getting our state aid, so that's good. Any questions from you on any of those? Okay.
6F, approve the adoption of the 24-25 budget.
Okay, we did the presentation last month. I will just make you aware that nothing has changed in overall totals, but on the general fund budget expenditures, I did adjust some of the amounts in the different function categories just based on how we had things coded this year and some things we encumbered a little bit after I originally did the budget, but it's still the same overall total amount. The overall total amount did not change. And I will take any questions that you have on that.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Roll call.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 7, approve the encumbrances for the general fund non-payrolls, number 389 through 442, $109,966.17. Change orders for the general fund, $312,520.19, and the general fund payroll, number 70,000 through 70,617, $13,612,064.46.
I'll take any questions you have on any of the encumbrances.
On 406, just technology devices, are that just those iPads or?
Yeah, I believe, Adam, that's the recent Apple PO that you put in. I believe that was iPads and maybe some laptops, correct?
Oh,
Yeah. I think replacement, and then adding a few where they were short.
Quick question, iPads, what grades are we using iPads in?
Mostly in elementary, but there's been, some of these will be used in the high school. Some math teachers ask for them with the Apple Pencils to use with the Apple TV, so to kind of use those. They have document cameras, but they feel, moving around the classroom with those, they're having a lot of success with that. So you should see Coach Drummond, he's really enjoying his, so.
Thank you.
Quick question on 427, just says blue ribbon.
Yes, so it's a general description, so we know there's gonna be some travel for Blue Ribbon, and we needed to go
Okay.
ahead and have a purchase order in place to be able to pay for the travel for the Blue Ribbon, celebrations that we'll be having.
And on 429, how's the painting going? I mean, that's less of a ask about this, but I guess it just brought up the.
So this is the one bus that kind of has I think we took it to a state playoff game, and it's got a lot of paint chipped off the hood, and so this is specifically to address painting that bus hood.
That hood,
It's
okay.
not for the buses that we've painted white. It's just for that one, and it's one little project. I don't think they've taken it yet, but I think it'll be happening pretty soon to get that. The other
Say something
buses.
on that too. Or let me just on that real
Yeah.
quick. I mean, the thought was we plan on using that bus specifically to bus to the athletic facilities and back. And even though that's a quick trip, it's just the idea of having Bethany Public Schools driving up and down the road every day with.
Is it that it's like black? Or
Yeah,
something?
Yeah.
It just, to me, it's just not the best way to represent our district back and forth. So, and then you were gonna say something.
We do have the buses that we were painting white. They have been painted white, and then we're in the process of seeing about finishing up the wrap and that kind of stuff to get the logo on there.
Cool.
So,
Still getting some designs on that.
But-
See.
but they haven't
see
painted.
what we like. First design wasn't too bad. Very creative.
Number 419, PLC at Work Conference, what is that?
You mind if I?
I don't know.
So one of the things that, we are trying to do is really provide more professional development for our teachers. And one of the things that the principals and I would like to also do is continue to work on PLC's professional learning communities. It's collaboration. It's how we work. It also has to do with your education system and the pieces of that system. So there's really a lot to it. It's a great conference. This one happens to be in Tulsa, so it's close by. But we would like to take a good group of teachers from every building to go to this conference. I've been to this conference before previously, and it's amazing the planning and collaboration you can do. But it'll also help us as we move forward, having those conversations with teachers and looking at things like late start and how we're utilizing some of that time and just some of the ways that we are doing things instructionally. And so this is really exciting because we've been able to take some people locally when it's here. We were fortunate to be able to find a place that's just down the road, so that'll save us a lot of money. And so it was kind of a great opportunity to kind of put it all together. But we're excited about taking a group of teachers, and it's Solution Tree is the company that does it, and very established company for this type of training. It's very good. So excited about that. Just opportunity for teachers more than anything.
It's great to see it's so close. Didn't we go to Phoenix a couple of years ago or something?
Yeah,
like
I think
that?
we sent a smaller group. I don't remember the specific.
Utah. Oh, Utah.
Yeah. And so that was the idea, and I think we maybe was it 4 or 5-ish maybe, and I mean we're looking at, I don't know what the number ended up at. 30 is what we'd like to take if we can, and it is a little bit into the summer, so we got to find 30 people available, but I think we'll be able to find close to that. So yeah, it's exciting.
It's also being paid for with federal funds, so we'll be reimbursed for the registrations from the Title IV funds.
make a motion to approve the encumbrances as presented.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 8, discussion possible action to utilize the Bolt Company as Bethany Public Schools general contractor for the general contracting request for proposals.
Alright, Mr. Mon.
So we distributed a RFP for general contracting services. This is primarily for smaller projects that don't require a mechanical engineer, that don't require a architect. Therefore, some smaller projects typically, we've done a lot of projects related to the fire inspector that you guys I think are aware of, and I like to have general contractors do that just of the liability involved. I'm not big on putting in fire related stuff and having it come back on me or the guys. So we put this out to bid. We received 2 proposals back, one from R&R General Contracting and another from the Bolt Company. The Bolt Company was the lowest cost provider, and how we priced it out was I specifically asked for cost plus a percentage markup on things like equipment rental for emergencies. That was a big part of having a contract in place, or putting it out to bid was for emergency services. They were 15% or 20% on that, and just labor and project management type percentages, it was a cost plus X%. And they came in 15 and 20% across the board, and R&R came in 25% across the board. So.
Quick question, you mentioned installing a lot of fire equipment. Can you give an example of that? I'm just trying to understand.
We've had multiple fire inspections over the past year and a half, and a lot of the things we've had to install are panic bar devices.
Okay.
Such as out at the futsal court, and a number of them out at athletics, and emergency lighting and things like that.
Great. Thank you.
Would we be able to use this in other projects that we just see, hey, we'd like to do this? Not a big thing, but just we'd like to add this or do this, and this may be where we utilize that.
Right.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the Bolt Company as a general contractor?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad.
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 9, discussion of the new revisions to the following board policies, AA through, where are we going down to? BKBA.
There you go. Very good. So this, you'll be able to look at this, of course, all month or all year, really, if you want to come back to it. But this gets us through our first good chunk of reviewing that. Principals and I reviewed all of these things. I'm having Dr. Jasper help with some of the next things, some of the financial things. So we'll continue this process. What we do, just to give you a general overview, is we look at these policies, we take our current policies, we read those, I mean, literally read them out loud, read these policies and find out what is different, if anything. If it is different, then we look and say, okay, why is it different? Most of these things are the same. The philosophy is the same, mission statement, and most of these things are related to the board. And so what you'll see that in the difference is that where our policy right now says something like, we'll follow the law for this. But what you'll notice in these policies is it gives a very detailed description of what those laws are. And as the laws, I think it's just a matter of philosophy, right? So on one hand, when the law changes, you don't have to change the policy. But you also then don't necessarily know all the details behind what's there. I do think in this particular case, it'll be beneficial to board members now and in the future of needing that information or just needing to go back and refresh on something specific to being a board member. And then there's some other things there too. But within this block, there wasn't anything that significantly changed. It was just more detailed to things that we already had in place or already have in practice. One thing that we don't have in here is BED. That was one we looked at. It had to do with public forum and public comment in board meetings. And I went back and checked. We typically don't do that in board meetings, but we do have times where we may open up a forum or want to open up a forum. And so I went back and asked, because at one point we said, well, we don't really do that in board meetings, so we don't really need this section of policies, and we took that out. But then we went back and we asked, well, but if we ever do wanna have a forum, would we still be able to do that? And the answer I got back for that was, yes, we would just put it as a board agenda item, and then you would have your forum there. So that was an answer. Now, we could go back and we could put in BED. Another thing BED had, it was, just decorum and within a meeting and proper behavioral things. And I asked about that. That is also covered in some other policies down the road, just about removing people in general. And so she suggested that as, this policy covers that as well. Again, that would be just a matter of preference, whether we wanna have that in there specifically or not. It's not required for sure, but it doesn't keep us from having a public forum about a topic if we wanted to, call parents in and have feedback. So, which I know we've done in the past in certain circumstances, so. But we would just put that as an agenda item if we wanted to, so. So yeah, I'd take any questions if you have them, but more than anything, it's just an opportunity to look over these over the next month and see if there's anything that's concerning. And then again, we won't approve any of these until the end, and we'll just approve all of them at the same time. But I will tell you, we're being very diligent with reading we were making commas and little things that we caught, so we're reading every line, every sentence. If there is a fundamental change in how we operate on something, we'll certainly let you know that hey, we are interested in looking at this fundamental change in this policy. Right now, it's just more detail to what we already do.
So the stuff that's underlined is new, right?
Not really.
Okay.
So the stuff that's underlined, is stuff for us to focus on, but a lot of it's actually new because, in fact, whole policies
Are new. Okay.
Yeah. Again, if I tell you like development opportunities for board members, our policy generally right now says we'll follow the law on that, and this just has basically a lot of things.
I see.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different, and usually that is the one thing that changes. This is a little bit different. There may be some times where a piece of our policy looks the same, or maybe she did, because she also went and looked at our current policy to try to make it align. Like we're not trying to change any policy, we're just trying to make it a little bit different.
And she is?
Julie Miller is the attorney at OSSBA. who's helped us
She's
with
the one
this.
that's looked at this.
Correct,
And made his recommendation.
Yeah.
So this is all what she has recommended.
It's what she's recommended,
Based
and
on
then
what we
we
got.
got together,
Right.
reviewed it all, and then we
Okay.
sent back edits or questions, and then she sent back, corrections or things that we felt like
Okay.
needed to be added.
I did have one question on BBA. It has a date in it, September 1st of 1995. Talking about the board members, and so I didn't know if that was a special day.
That's
Which one?
long gone. Yeah.
BBA, board member qualifications. It's talking about a relationship based on affinity.
Because there was a cutoff date on some of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Board members elected before pre-existing versus not.
yeah, that's correct.
Oh, okay.
Should a board member have been serving since?
Do we still need to have that in there, since that's,
Well, I understand
Yeah.
why she did, because there very easily could be a few that are still serving.
And
Particularly
I,
in some small districts.
yeah, and to give you another example, you will see some things like that, because another thing that happens is when accreditation comes to visit, they will ask us to pull certain policies, and they'll look at our policy book to make sure that we're covered and that we have all the policies that we need. And so what they are also ensuring is that we're covered on that. So some of those things are in there specifically for those reasons. Like,
Oh, okay.
it doesn't make a lot of sense necessarily, or it
Yeah.
doesn't, like that's a great example of that. Like, it doesn't seem like maybe, but it's there because that's how the law was written specifically. It's probably used very similar wording to that date. And so they include that in there so that it's covered by the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a checkbox for
That's
you.
right.
So like his philosophy and mission statement, are those things that are dictated by, I mean, are these her words?
No, so those are our current philosophies, she just
Okay.
put it in there, yeah. So those are things, and, you know, that is what is currently in our, policy. We asked about that, and right now, I mean, whether that's something we would wanna change at some point, we certainly could, but this transition is not necessary to, this would not be the best time probably to make those kind of changes. Right now, it's just trying to convert over, but we could have a conversation about changing our philosophy and our mission,
I just
things like
wondered
that,
if-
but that's,
If that was ours or
Currently
theirs
what
or
it is.
what?
That's not the district mission statement, I don't think.
Well, it is.
Is it? I mean,
It's the
I
Board of
don't know.
Education
yeah,
philosophy, I guess.
anyway, we can look.
I'll check on that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought that one was out of date. Seems kind of old.
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah.
kind of an old.
It's,
We still would like that, but we could do
I
it.
mean, I do
Well, I
like
think-
excellence.
yeah.
Excellence is good,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's-
but-
Hmm.
Any other questions or comments on that issue? We'll go to item 10, staff reports.
Like Go and Glow was successful. Beat the goal. Beat the goal of
We did.
40,000. Yeah.
The elementary report, just like so many community involvement type activities. Those are so important here, so thank you.
That's something that I really wanted to make sure we're doing is, making sure we're bringing in all stakeholders that we can and really making them aware. So, even in the Go and Glow is looking at business partners, and then Grandparents' Day, and then Breakfast with Broncos is really trying to reach all of our stakeholders so they can see how great our schools are.
Middle school, you're getting the aviation program off the ground with the girls.
We are. We had some signing up today to go do a free flight in Prague over this weekend, so they're getting excited about it.
That's great.
That's awesome.
I like the idea of having flicks with friends.
Me too.
For middle school.
We will see how that goes. That is
Yeah.
That is
Let us know
Thursday
next
night,
month.
So we will, we're getting geared up for that.
Yeah.
When is that? Is it coming up?
Thursday.
It's Thursday, I think.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Special services, 872 students came to the nurse's office. 91% of them went back.
Correct.
I have to ask, 872, is that an average month? Is that a high month? I mean,
That
give me
was
some
a
perspective.
little higher. The month before was closer to 700 visits. But we did have, if we look at our attendance rate too, we did have, more kids in general sick over the last month of September than we did in August because we had more days, So, but yeah, it's a busy place.
No kidding. How
In the
many is that a day? That's a lot per day.
Yeah. That's a lot of men's expenditure given
20 kids.
A lot of, it's amazing what a mint
Just nonstop.
can cure.
Crazy.
I have enjoyed I guess it's maybe Hispanic Heritage Month. It has been great to see all of those posts on social media and I guess other
Shout out to
places.
Miss Kirkpatrick. for
Yes, that's great.
From activities, it looks like, there's a lot going on. Football's off to a successful start.
There's a lot going on,
So volleyball.
Volleyball's regional tournament Thursday. So, it's an exciting time.
Yes, item 11, proposed executive session to discuss employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee is listed in addendum A. Is authorized by 25 OS section 307B1. Vote to convene or not to convene.
That's up to you guys, I don't necessarily need that.
I make a motion not to convene into executive session.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes. Item 12, discussion and possible action on the hiring of personnel in addendum A for the 24-25 school year.
Motion to approve hiring of personnel and addendum A for the 24-25 school year.
Second?
Roll call vote?
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 13, informational items.
Very good. We've got a busy month, as you guys can see. Hall of Honor induction ceremony will be October 10th. That'll be here in the Performing Arts Center. And then the recognition at the game will be the following week. That was just scheduling thing, making it work. But we're really excited about celebrating 3 new members that we'll induct. And as we've said in the past, it's truly the highest honor I think anybody can receive in Bethany. And so we're excited about that ceremony. And we've got some participation from our choir and orchestra for that. And so just really excited about a good ceremony. I want to give Ms. Tovar some credit on that as well. Homecoming parade is October 12th, around 1:30, 2-ish. We'll see when we get out there. And then football, of course, is October 12th for homecoming. And then the Hall of Honor football game will be October 17th. Fall break will be October 17th through 21st. Kindergarten at the Hop will be October 23rd. High school fall ball will be October 26th. And the elementary school fall festival will be October 29th. So a lot of things in October coming up, but a lot of good things.
Item 14, board member comments. You got it. Superintendent's report.
Okay, we've talked about some of these things, but first thing I want to highlight is just a congratulations to first the high school with receiving the Blue Ribbon Award. Again, highest national
So
award
awesome.
that any school can receive. Also receiving it a second time within 10 years apart. It's truly amazing and a tribute to all the things that they're doing, specifically at the high school. But as we said, one of the coolest things about the high school getting it is it truly is kids who have been in Bethany Public Schools all the way through. And so really everybody has had a part in the high school receiving that honor. And so it's a fun one to celebrate because it's truly a district celebration and honor, and looking forward to celebrating that really all year with the high school and really with the district. So congratulations to them, and it's nice to see a lot of the hard work that we see day in and day out just be celebrated in that way. So very exciting for them and very proud. Camp Classen was just this past week, and was able to attend myself again, and I just can't emphasize enough how much I appreciate the number of staff that were willing to go, and then also the number of parents that were able to go. I would say maybe we had a record number of parents attend as counselors, but it was just very positive. And when you have teachers who are also giving up 24 hours a day, for 3 days, that's special. And I will tell you, my observation of that was just all positivity. So many neat things happen at camp, as you guys are aware. There's so many little stories I don't have time to tell, but it just, every time you see one of those things, yep, this is why we go to camp. This is why it's really special. And the kids, really show us that by the way that they are at camp, and they just represent Bethany so well. So thank you to the elementary school and Ms. Chavez for doing that once again and continuing that tradition. Also, we mentioned the fundraiser. I want to congratulate the elementary on meeting their goal and exceeding their goal. And I think you got some pies in the face because you exceeded that goal. So I'm glad to see that as well, if I'm being honest. But no, that's a lot of fun. And then also, this was also mentioned, but we have the aviation program, and we had a special trip where they had the girls in aviation, and we were able to take 3 young ladies along with Mr. Allen Rye Trailer, Rose Wagner, and Cameron DeLeo all went and we got some pictures of that, but again, just another example of that program growing and expanding, and looking forward to that. And then just a reminder, the foundation auction is coming November 14th. So make sure you get your tickets and save up some money for some auctioning. Just looking forward to that. I know the foundation has worked really, really hard on securing items, advertisement, partnerships, and it is certainly the #1 way that we raise money for teacher grants, and teachers are going to begin submitting those now between now and the auction, and so excited about that as well. Congratulations on all the activities that are still taking place and continuing, just a lot of success continuing to happen. To the coaches and Mr. Nyberg, thank you for all the hours that go into that as well. And then finally, this has been mentioned as well, but continue to enjoy the social media presence. This coming from a guy who does not do social media. So I have 2 accounts now, one for Instagram and one for Facebook. I've already been asked if my Facebook account is fake, but I don't know how to really set that up correctly to make it not look fake, but it's great to see all the different things that they're posting, because it's great exposure to what we're doing. If you are good at that, you can help me out, but no, it's just been really neat. There's a lot of people working on that. We hired people in each building to focus on some of those areas. We have Ms. Esco taking pictures, and when you put all of that together, I know for me, I've really seen a lot of fun things, and now I see kids posting videos and things that they're doing, and they're really good at it and really creative, and so it's just been a real fun way to stay connected and to let our community see the things that are going on as well. So very excited about that. So